Conclusion upon the words of no one, with names like Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, and Stephen Hawking among its list of fellows. There's really no other scientific institution with a history of as illustrious as London's Scholarly Society. In the mid 1600s, when the group was created its scholarly character, the founding members chose for their motto a Latin phrase nullius in verba. It's a verse from the Roman poet Horace and it means upon the words of no one. What this motto signified was that the new science was to be based on careful and reproducible experiments. Elsie would no longer substitute the for first-hand evidence, and the words "trust me, I'm an expert" could no longer suffice as scientific proof. As a maxim for scientific knowledge, nullius in verba is a bit aspirational. If everyone had to prove every fact for themselves, no one would live long enough to learn what had already been learned, let alone contribute anything new. Out of pure practical necessity, all of us, and scientists especially, have to rely on the expertise of others. But the skeptical contrarianism conferred by Nulis in Verba still animates the grand enterprise of science. Each link in the chain of knowledge remains accessible for examination, questioning, and doubt. I know that you know the earth revolves around the sun, but how do you know? How could you prove it? What if, in a fit contrarianism, you decide you decided that just because everyone says something is true isn't enough for you? Gratifyingly, this stance isn't just tolerating science; it encourages all of the arguments have been preserved for inspection. All of the measurements are ready to be taken anew. Now is it the case with science subdividing into increasingly specialist silos of expertise and its claims subjected to scrutiny of fewer and fewer independent eyes, that knowledge in Bergman has grown less relevant for our times. On the contrary, as an ideal, it remains as vital as ever. Astrology is one of those topics on which everyone seems to have an opinion, often a very strong one, and under which workshops gone with the expositions of experts both and against. And yet nowhere was I able to find answers to many of my own seemingly simple questions. No matter, Nuremberg recognized that the resources were at my disposal to answer most of my questions for myself. All of the data used in this book is publicly available, starting with the extraordinary precise astronomical data from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. All of the most important primary sources, from Ptolemy to Bonatti to Kepler, are digitized and accessible online. Even the Python programming language where I choose to run all of my analysis and to generate all of my figures is completely free and open source. To be sure, it takes a bit of skill and commitment to weave these threads together, but fundamentally, I've said nothing in this book which cannot be checked, challenged, or expanded upon by anyone reading at home. Why take my word for it? Nihilus in verba, invoking the rallying cry of science for a book about astrology, the pseudoscience may come across as a little pre- preposterous. Perhaps it is, yet it strikes me that the prerogative to ask honest questions about a topic ought to be insisted upon all the more wherever asking those questions is most discouraged. Because, and let's be honest, it's not as if writing a book like this is entirely without risk. My aim has been only to explore astrology, certainly not to endorse it, and I trust that this book will be received in the spirit of curiosity and openness with which it was written, but there's still a panic-inducing scenario where this nuance gets lost and things go terribly pear-shaped for me, even to the point where I am no longer able to work in the technical field such as astrology is taboo even today. Otto Neugebauer, the historian of science who single-handedly did more than anyone to reconstruct the history of ancient mathematical astronomy, had to deal with similar sideways glances whenever his research touched upon astrology. In powerful 1951 essay, called the study of great subjects, Neugebauer defended those who were painstakingly piecing together with the writings of sciences also runs a various violence against the styles of scholars who studied most respectable topics. Thus, West writers, Neugebauer noted, may one day furnish the missing link in the transmission of doctrines which have left their imprint in almost all phases of medieval learning, medicine, botany, chemistry, etc. Neugebauer's essay resonates very strongly with me. I would only add that for me, the story of astrology has a value all its own, apart from whatever relevance it may or may not have to the stress of history, and I certainly wouldn't describe the time I've spent researching this subject as in any way right. I consider the opportunity to write about astrology to have been both a privilege and joy. This book has given me a delightful excuse to connect my love of history with love of numbers in a way that few other topics could. But what has consistently amazed me throughout is astrology's almost magical ability to connect just not this, but particularly any subject with any other. It may not be cosmic sympathy, but there is an undeniable power in astrology to reveal the surprising ways in which everything and all of us are connected to each other across time and space. These little reminders, as unexpected as they are wonderful, have more than rewarded my efforts in writing this. For the efforts, patient reader, I hope that somewhere among these pages you too were given something to wonder about.